Welcome to our Natural Medicine Secrets documentary series. I'm Jonathan Otto. In this series, you'll get the chance to learn about some amazing natural healing protocols. You'll learn about herbs and foods as well as other natural methods that will revolutionize the way you experience life. In this episode, we'll explore the incredible transformation stories of patients who have been able to overcome cancer and others who have eliminated chronic pain, all using natural methods and remedies that you may have never considered. You will learn more about disease reversal and other essential things that you can do to facilitate the best health for your body. Too often we feel trapped by our symptoms, circumstances, lack of money, or dependency upon prescription medications. There is often backlash or negative press in our community when it comes to natural healing. Why is this? Why do we hear of the dangers of natural medicines when the harsh side effects of prescription medications are downplayed? Unfortunately, natural medicines lack the financial incentive to the medical and pharmaceutical establishment that prescription medications hold. So on top of just not promoting these concepts, products, or foods, the media and the medical industry often misrepresent them as being harmful and dangerous. Yet these natural plant-based healing methods work synergistically with the body to create a wonderful side effect-free result. There are rarely any side effects reported when it comes to natural healing. And there are an incredible amount of testimonies out there from people who have had firsthand experience in healing their bodies from various diseases using these methods. So our goal is to bring you these stories and this information that has been often hidden and tossed to the side so that you can have access to the truth about these natural medicines.
Well, I had 16 tumors in the liver. That's never good. One of which was large. I had another tumor which had crushed already the left kidney, and they thought the left kidney had died. So yeah, that's why they expected I had 2 months left. You know, the really interesting thing was, I've never seen people look at people as if they were dead. And some people, the ones who were knowledgeable, were looking at me as though I was dead. And they had this subliminal shock that here's Hugh, who I've known for 30 years, and he's about to die. And it was slightly off-putting to be looked at as though you're dead.
So I grew up in Alice Springs, which is right in the middle of Australia, and so we had a very Indigenous rich upbringing. So that impacted me from a very young age. I remember I was 5 years old and they would take us out on school excursions and teach us how to survive from nature. And that's when a little light bulb went off in my brain that said, okay, so the healthiest way for us to live is to be able to go out to our own backyard and pick foods like fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts straight from the earth and eat them. So I remember thinking that, and then all throughout my childhood, my parents raised us very natural, quite healthy. And then as soon as I was going to university, I moved to the city, to Brisbane City. And that's when I started to indulge in a very fast food, processed food lifestyle. So whenever I had a craving for anything that I wanted, I would just go out and eat it. So if I had a craving for chocolate, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go get chocolate, or gummy bears, McDonald's, pizza, KFC, Doritos, like any kind of junk food, you name it, I would eat it. And I lived this way for 5 years. So I ate junk food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 5 years, and that's when I had a huge wake-up call. So one day something just popped in my neck and I went to the hospital. I had a 3.7 centimeter tumor, so the size of a golf ball, in my lymphatic system. And I was at the end of 21 years old. I was like, damn, I'm so young. This is like such a bad start to life.
I was in the shower. I'd been in practice for 25 years, and I typically did a breast self-exam because my mother had breast cancer, so I was kind of diligent about that. And bam, felt that lump that changed my life forever, you know, professionally and personally. So that was 2004 through 2006. That's what was my first healing journey. And trust me, I learned a lot because there were times when I was frustrated and overwhelmed, and you know, just like any other woman. I mean, when you're dealing with a life-changing event like breast cancer, you know, it changes your life. And there was one moment where I thought to myself, if I'm frustrated and confused and overwhelmed with all this information and what exactly to do and where to start, how much more so would the average person be? So that led me to create a system. You know, I really felt that I needed some structure to my healing journey, and so that's when I created the 7 Essential System. So it's a step-by-step guide that takes the confusion away and walks you through the whole process. Fast forward 9 years, I'm then known as the breast cancer conqueror, and you know, my team and I had coached women in 43 countries. I had a #1 bestseller called Heal Breast Cancer Naturally, and I knew something wasn't right in my body, but I didn't pay attention. I kept pushing. I was a woman on a mission. I was burning the candle at both ends, and you know, bam, felt that lump in the same place, and I was facing breast cancer again. That was 2015. So that was very difficult because I was the face of helping women, and there was a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of anger. You know, how could I let this happen to me again? But it was really a great experience for me because I just took a whole different approach. I had more tools accessible to me compared to what was available in 2004. And I just really kept asking myself, what is the gift? What is the blessing here? What am I learning from all of this? And there were so many takeaways. I recognized that I had ignored the messages that my body was telling me. I had some dental issues that needed to be addressed. I thought they were taken care of, but I didn't stay on top of things. I had thyroid issues again. I wasn't sleeping well. My hormones were out of balance. So I was under a lot of stress. Wasn't sleeping well. So I created that perfect storm for breast cancer to show up again. And the good news is, as of 2018, all is well, happier and healthier than I ever have been. So still a woman on a mission, but much more balanced than I have been.
Cancer, stroke, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, the list goes on and on. Chronic and life-threatening illnesses are a reality for so many people in America and worldwide. It used to be that these were conditions that people didn't usually need to worry about until they were older. However, doctors are encountering more and more patients who are contracting these life-altering diseases at younger and younger ages on a regular basis. Our bodies are constantly being bombarded with the myriad of pollutants, toxins, radiation, and pathogens. As our bodies start to betray us, we have to ask the question, what can we do to stop it and reverse the illness that we may have already developed? Why have we been told that natural medicines are not an option and that we should avoid them?
I have fibromyalgia, Sjogren's, chronic fatigue, Hashimoto's, and then, like I say, this bad brain. My brain was getting so bad. When I was talking to people, I wasn't finishing sentences because I'd forget what I was talking about. And I just couldn't remember things. And I think about all that suffering I had, all the money that I put out with these poor doctors who really meant well. I mean, the naturopaths and everything. Oh my gosh, I've got so much energy. I haven't had this much energy, wow, in years. In years. Nothing ever did anything besides your program. This has been fabulous for me to really be getting my brain back. I could talk about things and remember names and everything now. I was so miserable, and now I'm just so much better. I have fibromyalgia, Sjogren's, chronic fatigue, Hashimoto's, and then, like I say, this bad brain. It's gone.
I have very severe autoimmune vasculitis, myositis, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto, all combination, In the beginning, they told me, oh, no, any supplement would not help you. They told me that in 2 weeks, if I would not increase dramatically amount of chemo and steroids, they should cut my legs. So I'm glad that I'm on your protocol, because I just, without this, I would be in wheelchair. And now it is practically normal. My doctor in Cleveland Clinic, a very good doctor, he just didn't believe it.
They were going to cut off your legs.
Yes, because Yes, they told me that if I would not increase dramatically, and I increased dramatically, it was very, very high level of chemo.
To have found this, what does it mean to you? To have been able to get your life back, what does that mean to you personally?
Oh my God, it's just, before I was practically suicidal. Now I'm very happy and, just live my whole life in different way. So thank you. I just have not enough words to tell this. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just crying.
Why are you crying?
Just emotional, just emotional. Because I'm really, 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 so grateful. Feeling I just can exercise, I can do, swimming, aerobic, everything,
I'm glad that my wife here is with me.
Hi guys.
This is Lori, and she's here with me in this journey to serve you and be with you through this process over the next few days to continue on helping and speaking about transforming lives. I mean, just for a moment, thinking about the call I just had with my grandma a couple of days ago.
So awesome. You want me to tell about it?
I mean, yeah, yeah.
Well, you tell the background.
Okay, cool. So, well, I'll tell you that I'll start with the end, right? So we called just to say hello to my dad and my mom, and I didn't know they were with my grandma at the time. I was just connecting, and they turned the phone around to my grandma, and she says, "Jono," and she calls me. That's what my family called me.
And I went.
Yeah, and we were so excited because she hadn't been able to call me by name for the last couple of years, and why could she finally say my name, right?
Yeah.
And just to give you a picture, 2 months ago, or even less than that, I flew back to Australia because the doctors had said she's about to die. She's got days, if that, maybe hours, and I wasn't even sure if I'd get back in time. And so
we sent him off with the clothes on his back.
Yeah, I didn't.
Nothing. Just sent him off.
True. Yeah, exactly. The news was so short that I thankfully had my passport because I was doing some business in another town, and then from that place I took my passport, went to the airport, and then flew back to see her and slept in the hospital just to get as much time as possible. My grandma, I grew up with her. She actually lived with my parents and me and my siblings, my 3 siblings, and so she's super close to my heart. And with her dementia, her kidney function, and her heart, these 3 things all working together, she was looking like she was going to die. And the things that we learned about in Natural Medicine Secrets helped to save her life. My father applied these things, and she's coming up to age 94 in this year. She's going to be 94. And so many people watch this and feel like it's too late.
Yeah.
And my grandma couldn't remember my name, and now she could, and she had color in her face.
And not only that, her conversation was making sense.
Yeah.
And she even remembered the pictures you showed her days before, and acknowledged that I was sitting next to you. It's just things that she was not even close to being able to do not too long before that. So it was pretty amazing.
It's super amazing, and we're so glad to have these tools. Just imagine what the tools that you learn in Natural Medicine Secrets could do for someone you love and care about. How could you help change your life and the immediate people in your family, the immediate people in your friendship circle? How could you use this information to transform lives? This is why it's so good to learn from this series, because we're not equipping you just with 1 or 2 conditions. We're getting to the root cause of all disease. And because we want to equip you, so in these situations you can do what I did. And remember, I'm speaking as an advocate here. I empowered myself, Lori empowered herself, so we could have the knowledge to inform our families.
And normally, and through your stories, through your results, people begin to listen and watch, and that's usually, it's been I guess you could say, a domino effect within our family.
Yep.
Just results are showing and people are wanting to apply, and it keeps growing from there. And so I know that you yourself might be wondering, will this work for me? I've gone through so many steps, but just take that one step forward and just apply what you know and just keep moving from there. That was our experiences. That's the experience of so many people around. And before you know it, you're gonna see some changes.
Yeah. It's so fantastic when you have the tools at your fingertips, and that's why we're giving you an opportunity to own Natural Medicine Secrets so you can take it with you. And that's the most amazing thing when you take action, you own the Gold Package. It's just an amazing gift that you can take action on right now to use this as a tool to help save the lives of those you care about most. And I promise you, you can change your life. You can completely turn around your circumstance when you take action. This is what we've seen for tens of thousands of people that have gone through our programs through the years. Now, to own this program, instead of paying the regular price, you'll get 93% off the Gold Package. So you'll only be paying 7%. The reason why we did this is because we wanted to give you every opportunity to succeed so you could have all the tools available to you. Let me remind you of all the additional free gifts and bonuses that you get and what you get in the core Gold Package. So you'll get both a DVD set and lifetime access digitally to all 9 episodes of the Natural Medicine Secrets docuseries to watch whenever you like in the future. And you can share them with your friends and family. In addition, you'll get a printed book of the episodes that you can read along. It's got bonus episode 10 in it. And if you prefer to listen to the docuseries, then what you can do is on the data DVD, you have the MP3, so you can put that in your computer, or you can download from the membership area online digitally, the MP3s, put them on whatever devices you have, put them in your car so you can listen wherever you are. To bring you this powerful docuseries, we conducted dozens of hours of interviews with the Gold Package. You get full lifetime access to all 57 full-length interviews we filmed, so you can see the entire interview rather than just watch certain portions in the episodes. You get to see the whole thing, uncut, raw, live, and that's what's amazing when you get to consume that information.
Along with the videos of these full-length interviews, you get digital access to the complete read-along transcripts. So you can take notes or mark important sections you want to revisit later. I personally like to highlight. One of the most exciting pieces is the 7-module healing recovery protocol, also included as a bonus. Here's where you get step-by-step protocols from our doctors that can easily be personalized on how to naturally treat your microbiome, protect your brain health, and improve your blood sugar, fertility, mood disorders, weight gain, and many other conditions. You will also get 11 healing protocols, and here's why this is interesting. These are exclusive video content materials featuring 11 doctors sharing their best healing tips and protocols that they use on their patients in their private practice. That's your set of DVDs and a DVD containing all the materials so you gift one to a loved one, as well as a digital pass to give someone else online access to the entire program.
When you choose the Gold Package, you'll also receive a printed book, as well as a DVD and the digital version of our 57 key takeaways from our interviews, valued at $199. And here's how it works. For each interview we filmed with our world-class doctors, we extracted the most important tidbits of information for health transformations. The key takeaways are like reading a shorter version of each interview and getting the compacted information in just a few paragraphs, so you don't have to read through everything. With this bonus in the Gold Package, you get a printed book and a digital copy and a DVD for multi-device access. The value-packed Gold Package also includes 5 cooking videos on DVD to banish inflammation. That's a great bonus if you have autoimmune issues or you just want to keep low-grade chronic inflammation under control. Watch a recipe unfolding on video rather than just reading the instructions. It's super fun, it's informative, and you'll learn how to do it.
You'll also get 3 more printed books containing even more natural remedies for specific conditions, each featuring the natural medicines that are scientifically proven to work to combat disease. You'll receive top 21 natural remedies for autoimmunity and inflammation, natural herbs to revolutionize your health and combat chronic disease, and herbs and minerals to boost your brain. All of these books have been developed by our team of researchers based on solid science.
In the core Gold Package, we've included our free Jumpstarter supplement pack that has an amazing combo of products specially formulated to give your health a boost and start getting you on track. Our Jumpstarter pack has Gut Repair 360, Cell Defense, Toxibinder, Parapurify, turmeric and ginger with bioperine, and emergency immune support. We want to give you the opportunity to starting detoxing, fighting inflammation, and healing leaky gut so that you can get to see the difference right away. With this package, you'll get the opportunity to begin to transform your health from the inside out. We want to make sure that you have more than just the information and the supplement starter pack. We want to give you a special gift that will get you started on your personal healing journey. Have you ever wished that you had someone to talk to that was just able to sit down with you and really figure out your health issues? It seems when we go to the doctor's office, the doctor is quick to rush in and out of the room, and many people often feel they aren't fully seen or heard. Considering this, we've added a high-value 40-minute free phone consultation with a health coach who has been specially trained to make sure that you're able to come up with a program that is right for your needs. The value of this consultation alone is worth $199. So make sure you check out all the packages and find out the one that is right for you. But this deal is only available during this live screening, so act now if you don't want to miss out. If you want, you can go ahead right now and pause the docuseries and see for yourself everything that's included in our silver gold packages. Simply click the button or banner below to take advantage of this limited time offer right now. Also remember that every single one of our packages has a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you risk nothing if you decide to try these remedies for yourself in the next 60 days.
We're focused and passionate about our mission and want to bring the secrets of natural remedies to you and the world. It's your support that enables us to help the many people who are struggling so that they can help themselves. Your support also gives us the ability to create these programs that have helped so many and can profoundly change your life and health too.
Take the opportunity right now to make sure that you don't miss out and get instant on-demand access to all of this life-changing information by simply clicking the banner or the button below before this opportunity is gone. Go ahead, check it out right now. I can't wait to see the transformation that comes into your life by taking action on this special opportunity.
All right, so the topic of natural medicine conjures up for me this contradiction because it's redundant, right? For me, medicine, or that which would heal, has to be natural. So it's sort of like an unnatural medicine, meaning a pharmaceutical that's derived from a synthetic chemical, which most of them are, would be oxymoronic, right? Like a pharmaceutical medicine. So it's like alternative medicine, right? It's as if natural herbs and spices and foods being used for healing just popped up in the past like 50 years or something, and that traditional medicine they associate with surgery and synthetic patented chemicals, which is what pharmaceutical medicines ultimately are. So everything's backwards in a way. Our survivability as a species through eons, right, depended upon food as medicine. And our ancestors, it could be grandmother, like putting just the right pinch of a spice into a dish, which provided the right, if you will, epigenetic information that helped our genes express themselves with like optimal wellness. And so that's where I look at natural medicine. It's like basically sort of like this redundant term that exists within like a semantical space that's dominated by pharma already. They've already won the war of brainwashing the world, because if you think about it, the basic premise, of course, is that patented chemicals are somehow superior and even safer than natural medicines, right? You have people that freak out at the prospect of taking a probiotic or using an essential oil for a medicinal purpose. They're trying to get their doctor to say, is this safe? Or they're looking online. And they don't realize that aspirin, for example, was just ruled to be unsafe to take for the primary prevention of heart disease and stroke, which for decades, doctors were telling people to take this synthetic form of a compound, a salicylate, as a way to prevent the #1 cause of death, when it was causing things like cerebral hemorrhage, and it was contributing to compromising the arteries. I love things as basic as like flaxseed, because they're just this amazing example of a food that produces this mucilaginous gel, looks just like epithelial cells, right? The cells that line like our nasal passages all the way down the alimentary canal. Because flaxseed is such a good thing for ulceration-related conditions and helps to regulate epithelial tissue cancers, like, for example, breast and prostate. And those are very hormone sensitive. And it turns out that flaxseed has these lignans, which are turned into enterolactone and enterodiol, which are the plant analogs of endogenous estrogens. Only the difference is that When you have excessive estrogen of that type, human, they say estradiol, it will overstimulate certain receptors in the body. That's why sometimes estrogen dominance they talk about being related to like fibrocystic dense breasts and therefore precursors to types of hormone-sensitive cancers, is that it can block out the action of very strong estrogens while simultaneously stimulating mildly the receptor and maintaining longer contact at that receptor site, which means that it's basically adaptogenic. It's modulating the receptor. It's also known as a selective estrogen receptor modulator.
The answer is not, well, take a pill for this symptom, take a pill for this ill, so to speak, and cover up the symptom and, oh, now you're better. That's not how it works. And that's why we're having more and more people around the country, by the thousands that are coming to find people that do the work that we do, because they've already tried taking pills for symptoms and they are worse than they were before. And now they are wanting to figure out what's causing the problem. And they come to us. We figure out where the interferences are. We figure out what they're lacking and what they need, and we bring all of that back into balance. And not only do their other organ functions come back into balance, but the brain chemistry follows.
Just days after I was diagnosed with terminal cancer, I had a PSA of 76, and most people have never even heard of that number. It's way off the charts. And I was given as little as 2 months to live, and as much as 3 years to live if I had taken all of the traditional, conventional solutions like radiation, chemo, hormones. And that is just about when I met Dr. Bush and his team. And by chance, they were looking through my blood work, because I wasn't going to mention it to them. I was there just looking to optimize my well-being and performance. So when Dr. Bush saw that my PSA was that high, which is pretty much 7 times typically the worst PSA that indicates you are facing death.
What was the number again?
76. And traditionally, a patient who has a PSA of 10 is thought to be facing some kind of terminal condition. I had 76. So Dr. Bush immediately jumped into the picture and very kindly took over the case himself right then and there.
Is that right?
That's right. 3 years if I took all the treatments. 2 months if I was really unlucky. I mean, personally, I was pretty calm about the whole thing. The way I grew up, we've been near terminal situations, myself and my family, many times. So I wasn't disturbed by that. 2 months, however, was way too short a time frame. I should mention, by the way, that just a couple of weeks later after the PSA test, I was found to have 16 tumors. We saw the PSA drop from 76 just soon after, maybe a month later, to around about 50. And then soon after that, 2-3 weeks after that, it dropped to 2.45, which is extraordinary. 2.45 for a 66-year-old individual. It's what you would expect from a young athlete, male. So then the heat was off, and I was able just to continue the natural way and the spiritual way as well. It was amazing. I met Dr. Bush in late September, and by the middle of December, maybe the 20th of December roughly, PSA had dropped to 2.45. By middle of January, we did the second CAT scan on a high resolution because we wanted to see how much the tumors had shrunk. Exactly. Every single tumor had disappeared, totally. The only clue that there was ever a tumor was that in my hip, The tumor had eaten a hole into the hip about that big. So there was a hole in my hip. Every other tumor had disappeared. That was mid-January. I have, as I mentioned earlier, a PSA of indetectable, which is to say it's way below the healthiest child. And I also have continuing CAT scans that showed the same thing, nothing. Even the hole in the bone has filled in, so that's not even evident anymore. So in terms of cancer, I would have to say, as healed as one could possibly be.
So Dr. Mueller, you just brought up something that I find fascinating, and that is the concept of the double-blinded placebo control studies that are looking at testing. Is it true that they're testing one added like supplement nutrient drug? Right. They're just testing one, and that's only
one against something else, and then against the placebo.
Okay.
And then comparing the results of all three of those to see what occurs. Right?
And the problem is that because there are many things that are causing the problem, there are many things that are needed, and a combination of therapies, not only purely nutritional,
right,
but even on the nutritional side, there's multiple deficiencies, and then there's multiple things that are obstructing, like let's say for example detoxification,
right,
and then there's multiple lifestyle factors on the other front, and then multiple other exposures that are triggering. Am I on the right track here?
Absolutely.
That are causing the problem,
right? You know, and I don't want to, I wouldn't go so far to say that it wouldn't help, because certainly a lot of these things have been studied, and now we know that we can implement some of these in certain conditions, right? But the fact is it always 100%? No, it's 30 or 40, and we're cheering over that, which is great, but we're missing the boat when we're seeing that we're not addressing these other modifiable things, right? And we have to shift our paradigm to this one, that this is multifactorial, that it's personalized, it's individualized to the person that's sitting in front of us, not to the masses, not to everybody in one community is going to have the same cause to this thing. And our medical system was developed based off of that one cause, one solution type of mindset. And that's perfectly fine. But we need everybody to live in their zone, right? There's no place that I'd rather be than in, at least in the United States. If I get in a car accident, if I have a heart attack, I'm going to get the intervention that I need at that time to save my life. But it's the firemen that come in and save your house when it's on fire. But you don't call the firemen back day number 2 to come rebuild your house and use their tools, water hoses, fire axes, to rebuild your home. You call in the carpenter. And so with functional medicine, it's trying to, in this building analogy, it's trying to identify the things that are going to cause the fire, the electric, prior to it actually occurring, fixing it or repairing it to the best of our ability, and then giving it a personalized approach and getting the results.
We've just been learning about the functional and natural medicine and holistic approach to healing the body. When approaching health from this perspective, and not only trying to combat symptoms, we can start to identify some key components of illness. One thing that is often found when chronic illness is present is chronic inflammation. Inflammation is meant to be the body's process of fighting infection and pathogens, but unfortunately, when things go awry, chronic inflammation can develop, which leaves your immune system in a constant state of alert. This causes your body to produce more cortisol, which in turn produces more inflammation, and the cycle continues.
For one of the things I like to address is inflammation. And it can be caused from different things, different types of stresses, from mental stress to emotional stress to toxicity, to different things that we're doing to our bodies that actually increase inflammation. So there's different supplements for that, from your gingers, your turmeric, those type of things that actually lower inflammation. But I think if people will start their kind of health journey, whether they're looking at, I want to do testing or not do testing, if I just look at my body and say, how can I reduce the inflammation in general, whether it's the water, drinking the clean water and reducing the chemicals that are in my food, just starting there and then looking at, okay, how do I feel there? Now I cleaned up my diet, I cleaned up my water, I'm still having these other issues, what other things can I take to reduce more inflammation? The more inflammation they reduce, then other symptoms start to go away. And then those symptoms that are still there, then they can look at more things, whether it's, hey, let's look for a parasite because I'm still having these other conditions. A lot of times when people get to the root cause of their inflammation, they see a lot of health changes by addressing that.
What about leaky gut? We get asked all the time. I get asked this consistently. My wife, it's like almost the number one question. How do we heal, stop, solve, resolve leaky gut? So I thought that I'd make it really easy for you guys. I've done some research along with my team of researchers and some doctors and scientists specifically on this subject and what herbs and minerals are the most effective out of everything in the world. So you're gonna really love this part of the presentation. So check this out. We're going to be not only referencing and citing what the herbs and minerals are so you can go and find them and use these tools, but we're also going to share with you their clinical case studies that prove the efficacy of these ingredients. Check it out, it's amazing. The action plan helps you heal your gut from the inside out and helps you with painful symptoms like abdominal pain, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, headaches, and brain fog. After all these problems are solved, your immune protection against germs will also increase tenfold because it's scientifically proven that 80% of your immunity is in your gut. But it gets even better because this action plan can actually help you restore the health you never had. What do I mean by that? Let's say that you were one of those people and you'd be surprised how many cases there are who never had perfect health, not even as a kid. Maybe you've always struggled with some sort of issue, low energy, headaches, troubles learning, ADHD, constipation, diarrhea, frequent infections, or bouts of fever. That too could be the result of what was happening inside of your gut when you were a child. But there is hope you can change it now because you can not only repair the microflora in your gut, but you can also help reshape it. It all comes down to the miraculous properties that these ingredients have, which rearrange the building blocks that bring your gut to how it was when you were born, clean from any type of bad bacteria. In that way, the good bacteria can finally take control. Here's exactly what you need to use to achieve this. When we started the research into leaky gut, there was one ingredient that kept showing up, L-glutamine. And that's because L-glutamine is the fuel of choice for our cells, but also because it's the number one ingredient that will help your gut repair. Here's why. It has been proved that if you take L-glutamine for only 2 weeks, it will significantly help treat the holes of your intestinal walls and will help the overall recovery of your gut. Research after research showed that when you have a leaky gut, it is harder for your body to absorb vital nutrients. So even if you eat nourishing, healthy foods, the cells in your body might not receive that nutritious energy. But thankfully, L-glutamine takes care of that, and that's because L-glutamine may dramatically increase the absorption of nutrients in the gut. Also, the right dose of L-glutamine is proven to help the immune system and protect you from any toxic overload you're probably vulnerable to right now. Another amazing ingredient that I found in my research was protease. As we speak, there are drugs being developed right now that are centered on protease. And that's because this amazing enzyme helps the body absorb essential amino acids and reduce digestive issues. A double-blind placebo-controlled trial showed how 2,125 people with digestive problems who took protease for 2 weeks had remarkable results. More precisely, 89% reported less bloating, 87% had improved their heartburn, 88% had less belching, and 86% of them had almost no abdominal pain. Talk about a winning score of almost 90% reduction on almost all of the digestive troubles. Incredible, right? Both L-glutamine and protease have amazing properties to help repair the gut. But there's something else that can fix the gut on a profound level. It comes from natural Chinese medicine, and it's a miraculous healing resource from overseas that not many doctors know about, called licorice. This healing herb has been used in medicine by famous Chinese healers for more than 1,000 years, a go-to remedy for almost any disease. And it's because licorice is an amazing antioxidant, so it helps increase the lifespan by delaying old age. It also helps your body to be better equipped to fight against all sorts of infections caused by germs. It has fantastic anti-inflammatory and gut repairing properties. But licorice comes with another amazing perk. It is scientifically proven to reduce belly fat. Last but not least, licorice was proven to help protect from autoimmune and inflammatory complications, which is something that people with leaky gut are exposed to a lot. In another clinical trial, licorice was found to increase the eradication rate of a dangerous but very common bacteria called Bacteria Helicobacter pylori by 20%. In a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study, the gold standard of any scientific research, carried out on 50 people with digestive problems over the course of 30 days, licorice improved symptoms of nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain. Once I saw how these three mind-blowing ingredients, L-glutamine, protease, and licorice work together, I knew that this was a powerful combo that could help achieve step number 1, which is to help fill the gaps in the leaky gut and help soothe the gut lining. But next we needed to go to step number 2, which was finding ingredients that create a protective layer on the gut lining to prevent new holes from forming in the future. And actually, there is a surprising ingredient that would help this, the marshmallow root. Here's why. The mucilage and flavonoids in the marshmallow root were proven to create a protective layer on the gut walls, which in turn was proven to greatly reduce the risk of ulcers in just 14 days. That's right, it can improve ulcers in just 2 weeks. Even more, the marshmallow root also stimulates the regeneration of gut tissues and was proven to treat a wide range of digestive conditions including diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, gastritis, and more. Many people with leaky gut are also struggling with irritated, sensitive skin or acne, but marshmallow root helps with skin irritation, eczema, UV radiation damage, and inflammation. And last but not least, research after research proves that the marshmallow root has strong antioxidant properties, preventing aging of the body, protecting your cells from damage, and boosting your immunity.
Turmeric is great for overall health because it decreases inflammation in your body. And if you combine that with the cinnamon and also like omega-3 fish oil, with a lot of people who have pain, like chronic pain, incorporating that. Now, I would say this, after you found out what the cause of your pain is and remove the interference that could be causing the pain, which could be toxins in your body or some type of spinal or nerve interference or some type of micronutrient deficiency, then now they're going to have a better role or be able to contribute more to your health than if you just, I heard turmeric is good. And I don't want to prevent anybody from doing that. Go for it, because I dare say, I don't want to guarantee it, but I don't know if you're going to hurt yourself by taking more spices and putting more spice in your life. So turmeric, great for inflammation in the body. Combine that with omega-3 fish oil. Again, that's also great for inflammation, chronic pain, arthritis. So when you take turmeric and you want to combine it with BioPerine, okay? What the BioPerine does is it helps the bioavailability of the turmeric and curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric to decrease inflammation. So the BioPerine allows it to get into the cells or get through the gut, get into the cells, and so the cells in your body, brain can actually use it to decrease the inflammation.
Something else that I have found very useful for post-traumatic stress disorder is cannabidiol, CBD. And it's something I've added to my armamentarium in the past couple of years and found it enormously helpful for anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, inflammation, including gut inflammation, neurological issues, you name it, and it really affects it positively. And that's because CBD works on the endocannabinoid system. And the endocannabinoid system is actually the master thermostat or the master homeostatic mechanism in the whole body. It helps all the different cells in the body to communicate, and the different systems, from the endocrine system to the neurological system, digestive system, whatever, the immune system. It modulates inflammation. So it does this because that's its job. We have cannabinoid receptors in the brain and in the periphery and all the organs In the brain, they're mostly CB1 receptors, and in the organs, it's mostly CB2 receptors, but we're finding it's not that clear cut. And how it works is that we actually have our own endocannabinoid system that's part of us. And the main chemicals are anandamide and 2-AG that we've discovered. It happened in the 90s. And we can actually raise the endogenous, the 2-AG and the anandamide, we can raise it by giving cannabidiol, which is the non-high part of the cannabis plant.
The medicinal properties of cannabidiol oil, or CBD oil, has been gaining a lot of popularity lately. As more states allow this to be a legal treatment option, more and more patients are beginning to have amazing recoveries from the medicinal properties of this plant.
I met a friend of mine or a friend of my husband's actually, who had suffered a stroke at only 39 years old. And what he did to regenerate his body after that, using hemp extract alone, blew my mind. And that's what made me, I said, I have to get involved in this. What can I do to get involved in this? Because if it did this with him, what else can it do?
What happened to him?
He suffered a massive stroke. Like I said, he was only 39, on top of the world. Super successful guy, family, had 2 public companies, and was training with the Navy SEALs, just doing like a drill. You know, he was getting in the best shape of his life before he turned 40. And he was doing a drill, just an accidental, he got choked out. And his artery was, I don't know the entire details of the story, but he suffered a massive stroke a month later from that choke out. And, you know, of course, he went through the whole, he was on drugs and pharmaceutical drugs, and he was depressed and in pain. And, you know, they told him he'd never walk again. They told him that he wouldn't be able to, you know, play with his children anymore, basically. And that's how he viewed that diagnosis of never being able to walk again and being in a wheelchair and losing his independence at such a young age. And he discovered the healing power within the hemp plant and slowly was able to get off all of his meds. And I'm happy to say he's walking again. What did it for me was after hearing his story, you know, I'm at dinner with my husband and he comes walking in to meet us for dinner. And walking in, I say walking with like, he may as well had a cape on. He was just walking with, you know, his shoulders back, his head held high, and tiny bit of a limp, but that was it. And just having his memory come back and a lot of things change within him energy-wise, and it really, I was ignited with passion. Of course, my history of herbs and healing myself.
There's one woman who had been, you know, an important part of the family. You know, she cooked and she took care of things, and she couldn't remember recipes. She couldn't cook. After a few months on CBD, she actually was able to cook. She remembered her recipes and was able to converse again. So this is very unusual. I mean, in conventional medicine, you don't regain your brain once that starts, once Alzheimer's starts. And I've had a number of cases like that. And I've also used it. I had one elderly woman that was having some difficulty with memory, and she also was on bipolar medication, which I don't think was helping with her memory issues. So I took her off the bipolar medications actually fairly quickly. Usually I do it pretty gradually, but I did it quickly and gave her, building up the CBD fairly quickly up to 50 milligrams a day. And within a couple of weeks, she was feeling so much better. When she'd first come in to see me, she was kind of like slumped and like couldn't answer questions. She was like brain foggy, and she couldn't answer anything really, like what's your name, or do you know where you are? Do you know why you're here? She kept deferring to her daughter who had brought her in. And then when she came in the next time, she was totally there. She was talking politics. She was talking about what restaurant she'd been to the day before. And that was like a total 180-degree change. So that was from CBD.
That was the only difference.
Yeah. I'd also given her fish oil because I think fish oil helps everything. It helps the brain cells it supports the brain cells and supports neurotransmitters.
Well, again, I'm fascinated, and certainly wasn't taught in medical school about the power of natural healing, power of natural approaches. There's many we could talk about, but when you talk about herbal approaches, because I've been schooled like all my colleagues, and I have to stay up on prescription drugs and such, and they'll have a role. They're not all bad all the time. If you've got a severe infection, you might need an antibiotic. But when we're talking about in my clinic and preventive medicine, herbal approaches are actually studied. The science is there. You're not going to find a doctor being approached by a pharmaceutical representative to talk about ashwagandha, an herbal preparation from a plant in India that helps you deal with stress and deal with sleep and deal with weight and deal with anxiety. You're not going to have it. So most doctors don't know these. It doesn't mean there's not science there. It just means the science isn't blasted all over like necessarily a new pharmaceutical drug is. It doesn't mean they're actually even all that expensive.
It's because what it's doing is it's enhancing your own endocannabinoids. And it's been found that people who have PTSD have low endocannabinoids. People who have anxiety have a low endocannabinoid system, and we need to build it up. Or migraines, people with migraines. So when I have a patient with migraines, I have them take it every day, and then at the start of a migraine to take extra. And most of the time it absolutely aborts the headache, which is horrible because migraine, it's visual disturbance, it's dizziness, it's a lot of things. Everybody's is a little different, but it's very disabling, and people lose a lot of days of work. So being able to take the CBD and reverse it is amazing.
Wow. And so what dosage should someone start off on?
That's a really good question. So the bottles it'll say on the bottle how much CBD is in each dose. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the 500 milligrams is in the whole bottle. 500 milligrams in 2 ounces is basically going to be 8 milligrams for each dose, which is 8 each squirt. You take the bottle and you squirt, you take the dropper bottle, and then whatever, it ends up being a half a dropper, and that's 8 milligrams. So you start with 8 milligrams once or twice a day, and then you move up to 3 times a day and 4 times a day. It also comes in 25 milligram capsules that I like, because then you don't have to measure and worry about it. You just take 25 in the morning and you're done, or 25 at night. And a lot of my patients, particularly anxiety patients, I have them take 25 in the morning and 25 at night. And they're done. And then if they want, they can take a dropper or 2 or 3 droppers over the course of the day if they need it. It's quite safe.
As we will learn throughout this series, there are some major factors that can contribute to illness, especially chronic illness. One of these factors is something that most Americans probably think only happens in third world countries or developing countries, to say it more accurately. It's parasite infestation. Few people realize that it's possible to be infested with parasites at any time, anywhere you live in the world. In fact, in the past several weeks, a news channel in New York ran a story on a man who discovered a parasite crawling in a fresh salmon package at a well-known grocery chain. And when this was investigated further, it was discovered that finding these Japanese tapeworms in raw salmon is more common than what many people might think. But whether you're in the habit of eating raw fish or not is only part of the issue. Parasites can be acquired from the shower water, from lake water, from meat, or from other foods, and from pets as well. There are multiple sources that could be an avenue for parasitic infection. These creatures are quick to deplete your body of the resources it needs to cause inflammation and to give off toxins into your body. So what can you do to rid yourself of these pathogens?
Oh, bentonite clay. I love bentonite clay so much. Bentonite clay. My story started with clay once I, had the tumor. So I went and did also a live blood test, and in the live blood test, up on a big screen, I could see my blood was riddled with parasites. Like riddled. Like I saw all these little worms, like in my blood, invading my blood, taking over my blood. It was disgusting. It made me feel so sick. I was like, how can my body be, like right now, be getting invaded by parasites? And so I spoke to a naturopath, and she said, start drinking bentonite clay, because that's going to absorb all those parasites and like lock them into the clay's antibodies and take them out of your body. When she was explaining the clay to me, it just clicked, and intuitively I knew, yes, the clay is going to work for me. I need this clay in my life. And that's a great approach to healing, is like find out about all of the plant kingdom and all of the things that can help you heal, and pick the ones that really excite you and resonate with you. But I believe bentonite clay is here to help us for the next 1,500 years to get through this major detox period that we're going through, and also to absorb like heavy metals and all the toxins that are in our environment from the chemtrails, so we can keep our brains super sharp and clear. So I started drinking the clay, and I did a lot more research about it and found out that it's volcanic ash, and it's taken years to form in some deposits around the world, and that there's a deposit in Australia, there's one in India, there's also one in Hawaii, and then there's one in Wyoming, and the one where I source my clay from is Utah.
So we talked a little bit about chlorella, fulvic acid, and cordyceps. Those actually I do like, because those are gentle for the body, and they will get some of these constituents out of the body, especially the fulvic. So the fulvic minerals, what they do is it starts to go and take the what's called a biofilm or a calcium shell that these parasites and these organisms create around them, so that they are not penetrated by some of these herbal constituents that we've been using for thousands of years and for a long time that are effective, but now we're seeing that they're not as effective as they were, let's say 50 or 100 years ago, because of these biofilms. Now the biofilm has made it a lot more tricky, and it needs a slightly more sophisticated approach. So we need to break that biofilm or calcium shell around these organisms so that we can expose them, and then we can use things like clove, oregano, and some of these other herbs that you mentioned, so that they can destroy some of these parasites and the body can flush them out.
For that 20 years, it was really, really hard to not be the person I knew I should be, to not be the mother I needed to be, to not be the wife I needed to be, to not be the friend I needed to be. And so I was just, I had done such a good job at just implementing those things in my life and bringing myself so much healing, and then, having that frustration of not knowing how to finish the healing. And so finally I met Dr. Newsom, and he introduced me to fulvic minerals. And that was the key. That was absolutely the key. Within a week of taking the fulvic minerals, it was done. My digestive system was healed, and I've been 100% ever since. So I really have to say that definitely is the key with all digestive issues, and we know that autoimmune it all starts in the gut.
He used this particular approach when he recommended to Tennille Wheeler to use fulvic acid to help repair her leaky gut. This is because fulvic acid is called the ultimate nutrient booster, because it has over 70 micronutrients, 18 amino acids, and 13 organic acids. So it's, this liquid fulvic minerals or fulvic acid has the ability to go into the body and deposit rich nutrients from ancient sources that have been compacted through just a few places in the world. So it's actually quite rare to find high quality fulvic acid. And so what this is able to do is deposit rich nutrients into the body. And one of the major ways that it does this is because of the low molecular weight it has the ability to cross cell membranes. And this is really important when it comes to repairing leaky gut and to deposit nutrients in the body, and most importantly, or equally as important, is to pull the toxins out. So that's why fulvic acid is described as the mailman and the trash bin disposal. Mailman comes to drop the mail off and says, hey, I've got something for you, give something of value to you. For some people, they're getting mail that they don't want, but most people, most of the things we're getting, especially for ordering something we want, they're coming to bring the things that we want, so the deposit of the good. And then what fulvic acid will do is then he'll be the trash bin disposal as well, and say, hey, do you have something that you need taken out to the trash? I got a few spare hands here. Grabs that trash, takes it out, and that's the amazing kind of miracle within fulvic acid, in its ability, or fulvic minerals, to go into the body, deposit rich nutrients, pull out toxic metals, toxic pollutants, things that have come through like toxic BPA and BPS. Like, you know, it's like when they took the BPA out, the BPS wasn't any better, and the other environmental toxins that we're exposed to, other bacteria. This is an antimicrobial, and it's a gut cleanser, as well as being an amazing nutrient booster. Parasitic cleanse?
Yes, actually, yes.
What herb?
Mimosa pudica.
Yeah.
And then I also have a parasite cleanse kit that I private labeled myself. So
great.
Yeah.
And do you use, like with Mimosa pudica, why do you like Mimosa pudica?
Well, it's very sticky, and I've seen great results. Not too much information there, but yes, it's especially when you do it around the full moon, because the full moon, your melatonin is lower and your serotonin is higher, and it causes the parasites to be more active, and that's when you want to get them. So you start your cleanse several days before the full moon and continue it for a week after.
Awesome. Black walnut hulls, wormwood, clove, neem.
Yes.
Extracts of garlic, extracts of
Yes.
aloe vera. Any of those ring a bell, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we actually recommend doing garlic enemas because parasites don't like the garlic, right? Yeah. So it helps to expel them even more so.
Green harvested black walnut.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you've heard of this?
Yes, Dr. Hulda Clark.
Yeah.
I did her parasite cleanses for years, and that's what she had, the liquid green walnut hulls. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's effective, and combined with the Mimosa pudica, because the Mimosa pudica is sticky, it's a grabber,
yeah,
but maybe potentially not necessarily a killer, so you put it with the killer, which is the green harvested black walnut hull and clove and neem.
Yeah.
War.
That's right.
And you win, and it's about time we start winning.
Yeah.
It's like all these viruses and parasites, I have been winning for so long, making us feel bad, getting to run the show, telling us what to eat, when to eat it.
That's right.
Controlling our cravings.
That's right.
You know, making us age, all these types of things, causing inflammation. I mean, I come from, I've done these things, and my wife, this saved our health. It saved my wife's family's health, her mother, her father-in-law, and my father-in-law, her father. Everyone in my families have done it now and it works.
Good,
it's awesome.
One thing Jonathan and I found is that as we dealt with the issue of parasites, there were some ingredients that worked well and some that were hit and miss. We found that this can be discouraging because many people are investing their time and money into doing these parasite cleanses and not getting results. As we continued to explore this some more, we found that Mimosa pudica was just this incredible anti-parasitic. It had the ability to get some of those parasites that other formulas just couldn't. So what we wanted to do was to try and create something that had Mimosa pudica and other ingredients that have been found to have the highest probability of eliminating parasites. From our personal experience with parasites and from the advice of some trusted scientists we've gotten to know from working in this industry, we were able to formulate our own product called ParaPurify. When we were creating it, we also wanted to find a combination of ingredients that would break through the biofilm that parasites use to protect themselves. So far, we've had incredible great results with this and are excited to hear how other people have been able to get those same results, if not better.
Let me tell you why I believe in ParaPurify so much. My wife used this, my mother-in-law used this, my father-in-law used this, and my father and my grandmother used this product and received amazing health transformations because of this product addressing the root cause of an unknown. They did not know they had a parasitic infection, and it was a shock to even think of it. But yet this is what we keep seeing time and time again. The same situation happened to Natalia and Gail, who both used this product, and this was a part of their health journey that they attribute as being a big reason for why they were successful in healing their state that they were in. And so I just can't tell you enough how important it is that you do something like this. And I believe in the transformative power of this product and how it can change lives. And so that's why I'm doing something that is really exciting, and that is that we at Health Secret and Well of Life are giving this as a free gift to anyone who chooses to own the gold best value package. So all you have to do is place your order today, and you'll get this as a free gift along with some other great products. You'll get another 5 products, including Gut Repair 360 and some other fantastic products, all part of a protocol. And along with that, we're giving also a consultation so you can get a picture for how to go about this whole process and to make sure you're on the right pathway. And we're doing this all as free gifts because we believe that this is the way that we can transform the world and see healing take place for people that have been searching for healing for so long. And so this is available today, and we have limited supplies due to demand and the inventory. We have limited stock. So my admonition to you is that you take action now. I encourage you to take action because I don't want to see you miss out if this is something you want today. So take action. Thanks so much. Chronic back pain or neck pain is often accepted as a lifelong plight for many Americans. They're told that the most that can be done is to manage the pain with medications and dull the pain sensations. However, in the way of natural medicine, essential oils have been coming to the forefront as a key component in treating chronic pain, whether it's back and neck pain or even ghost pain from amputation. Listen to these amazing stories as we find out more about this revolutionary treatment.
The central nervous system. So the endocannabinoid system, there are 2 different types of receptor sites. They call them the CB1 and the CB2 receptors. And what we've learned is that essential oils connect into the CB2 receptors. Now the CB2 receptors are connecting to the endocrine system, are connecting to our cardiovascular system, and connecting to the central nervous system. So what we wanted to look at is how those particular chemical constituents, for instance, in the terpene group, there is a very specific chemical constituent called beta-caryophyllene. And that particular chemical constituent can not only reduce panic attacks and anxiety, but also modulate pain and modulate the central nervous system. You know, sometimes when our central nervous system is out of whack, whether it was because of trauma, maybe toxicity, or maybe even a latent infection, we can activate the central nervous system. So maybe we're dealing with tremors or we're dealing with spastic muscles. And when you use an oil like Copaiba that comes from Brazil that has a very, very high concentration of beta-caryophyllene, we can actually see after you take 1 drop or maybe even 2, although 2 is max. You don't want to do more than 2 drops of this essential oil under the tongue. It goes into the bloodstream, it gets into the CB2 receptors, and it begins to modulate the central nervous system, and it starts to shift the way that we receive pain signals inside of the body. It also has an ability to create an inhibitory response, which helps to lower anxiety and panic attacks. So a lot of people, if they're feeling, let's say they're feeling that anxiousness and they're feeling that their heart is speeding up and their chest is tightening, they know they're about to have anxiety or an anxiety attack, just taking 1 to 2 drops of an oil like Copaiba or even maybe frankincense will actually significantly reduce the response system that they have when they're actually having that anxiety or panic attack. And I love that we can leverage this powerful plant-based chemistry to have an immediate response that doesn't have a lot of side effects, really side benefits. Because while that oil is helping to reduce that panic attack or helping to reduce that chronic pain that someone's dealing with, it's also shifting the way that our endocrine system's working. It's shifting the way that our heart is functioning. It's having really profound benefits on the receptor sites of our cells and creating really powerful changes inside of the body. So it's wonderful when we may be using an oil for one specific reason or one specific issue that we're dealing with, but we have to realize that those chemical constituents are going to every single cell in the body. And literally, because they're lipophilic, they're going into the cell membrane, through the cell membrane, and changing not only genetic expression, protein expression, but also the way that hormones are binding to those receptor sites.
Awesome. So are you saying essential oils have the ability to actually communicate with genetic expression and help us work out dissonance or resolve dissonance inside the genetic expression? Is that possible?
That is absolutely possible. Yes, we're learning that these chemicals, like we think about emotions, and I think about emotions as being molecules. So they're ligands inside of the body, basically kind of proteins. That's that same thing, is that these chemical constituents are communication, and they're helping to support other communication, whether they are turning on ion channels, whether they're decreasing ion channels, or they're helping the receptivity of a hormone or a ligand connect to a cell or inside of a cell. So there's a lot of different ways that essential oils and those chemical constituents are having an effect on side of the cell and having an effect on protein and genetic regulation. I mean, what I think about is leveraging the use of essential oils is absolutely changing how we can think about epigenetics.
The other oil I've used a lot is peppermint oil. And peppermint oil is an excellent antispasmodic. Okay, so if there's spasms, you can use peppermint oil on the spasms and it will relax spasms. Some areas that we've had really good success with that are esophageal spasms, of all things. And we've had where people just take a drop of the peppermint oil in the back of their throat while they're having these esophageal spasms, and it would release the spasm. It was very consistent, a very consistent remedy for that. The other thing what we would do is I'd make a liniment in the clinic. We had a liniment where we used either sweet almond oil or grapeseed oil, along with magnesium oil, which is magnesium chloride, okay? And we'd use peppermint in that. And that combination would be something that we would use on spasms in the low back, spasms in the hamstrings and things like that, in runners, shin splints in runners and things like that where they had severe spasms. We'd also use it on the abdomen for those with spastic bowel, or with there's another thing called a rectal spasm, and we'd apply that to the abdomen. It would help with those types of things even.
We had the same story.
Really?
Yeah, a 22-year-old kid. He lost his leg and he got hit by a drunk driver. And they amputated his leg. He was on opioids for the pain, like fentanyl and all these like high-level painkillers, because he still had this massive pain. Like he always felt like he did right when he woke up from the accident.
Wow.
And he started using off all the drugs, and he doesn't have it anymore yet.
Yeah, and then how essential oils could then transfer to another part of the body that somebody doesn't even have because it's been removed, and when they're experiencing phantom pain. Why would the essential oils help them not to feel that pain? What message are those potent herbs or those plants sending?
What it would have to be that anti-inflammatory effect that they have. They have a anti-inflammatory effect. When a part of your body is injured, the nervous system registers that injury, and so the nervous system feels this injury, and it starts sending signals back to your brain. My foot's injured, and the immediate response the body has to that injury, that irritation, is an inflammatory response. In the case of the little boy that lost his toes, even though the toes are gone, they couldn't feel him anymore. His nerves are registering that there's an injury there. And so there still would be that that signal to have an inflammatory response, even though the toes were gone. And so if you are rubbing those on one foot, they get into the bloodstream, go over to the other foot, reduce the inflammation there, then the pain signals start settling down.
We are now learning how the elements of nature have incredible healing properties for our bodies. Oftentimes, it seems as if these plants are designed specifically to work synergistically with our bodies and produce the best results. But there is something even more phenomenal to observe. It's called the doctrine of signatures, and it refers to the physical attributes of a plant or food and how similar it is in appearance to different parts of our body. While this visual similarity may seem insignificant or trivial at first, upon closer examination, we find that these foods, when ingested most, help the organs that they were visually similar to. What an amazing thought, that the very foods we eat can give us visual cues as to how they can best help our bodies. To me, I see this as an evidence and proof that truly there is a designer at hand, a creator God that's at work to create this complex and beautiful, intricate system that we see inside of these plants and their connection with our body.
Okay, doctrine of signatures, okay. So one of the most amazing examples of the doctrine of signatures that I've stumbled upon in my investigation of the scientific literature on natural healing is pomegranate. Because pomegranate, if you slice it in half, actually looks like an ovary, right? You could take a rat ovary, a human ovary, it's very similar. And it turns out that it is the fruiting ovary of the pomegranate plant. So it is actually an ovary. So those seeds actually are baby, pomegranate plants. So that's interesting. But what happens that's really interesting is that in the relatively violent vivisection model of animal research, they take female rats, they pull out their ovaries. Within a matter of a few weeks, they have full-blown perimenopausal, menopausal symptoms. They get depressed, their bone mineral density starts to decelerate, they get midsection fat. You know, this is what happens at the change of life for women. Their ovaries start to decline in function, the ovarian reserve, right? And that's the beginning of perimenopause and menopause. So you give one group of rats pomegranate, and it's as if they never took the ovaries out. So these are ovarectomy-induced menopause rats. You give them ovary, and it's as if they never had their ovaries taken out. And that's because it actually functions like an ovary in the human body and the mammal body. It actually has steroidal hormones they discovered, like estrone, you know, one of 3 major, you know, human or mammalian estrogens. It has testosterone. It has components that you shouldn't find in a plant, but it's there. So in the case of the ovary of the pomegranate bush and the human, it's an example of poetry, you know, in nature and in science. And the reasons, though, why this came about, previous to the discovery of microRNAs, they didn't understand how different kingdoms of life, like, you know, plant and animal, could share genetic information. I mean, we knew that there's like horizontal transfer of information through viruses, for example, but it turns out that these microRNAs that are found within all living things, the foods we eat, for example, within our bodies, they can basically transfer information over to an entirely different kingdom of life. And that's why you might have a butterfly that looks like the flower of like some plant that it's landing on to pollinate. And they have the exact same patterns. Like how, I mean, other than obviously God, right? They crafted this, but now we at least know the mechanisms that are at play that would make that possible. So theoretically, all of life on this planet, every species, is connected and constantly in communication. It's like an open access network. Previous to that, you know, old school Darwinian biologists thought that the DNA is locked into the nucleus of the cell, can never escape. The only way it can is to reproduce vertically. There's no horizontal transfer. It takes thousands of years for a gene to change over time. Now we know in real time, just eating a pomegranate will totally affect my physiology. It can alter my gene expression. It can keep me alive decades longer than if I didn't have it helping me out. It's just that's how nature works, and that's why food is so essential. The right foods, if you're eating a genetically modified tomato grown in petrochemical or factory farm animal waste with the sick microbiome, ionic bonds all ripped apart and altered, the information in that tomato is like just garbage, right, that you're putting into your cells. It's telling your genes to just misfire, miswire, misexpress, but you take a nice organically grown one that's been loved and been, you know, bathed in the cycles of nature, the information, the qualitative energy is so orders of magnitude different that that's what heals you. And that's the difference, because on the package it's how many calories, how much protein, how many vitamins. They're not looking at any of that. It's the quality that sustains our life, not the quantitative stuff.
So I want to talk about something called Doctrine of Signatures. Doctrine of Signatures has been around from the 27 CE, before man knew what each plant was. Genesis 1:29 says that God created every plant for our food, and he continues to say that he gave us fruit for food and plants for healing. But our early ancestors did not know what was good for food and what was poisonous and what was good for whatever. So that's how they developed the Doctrine of Signatures. Doctrine of Signatures means that the plants have intelligent design showing what they were used for or what they are good for. So there's a few examples that I have over here. Let's start with the walnut. Walnut has the intricate design of a brain. If you look closely at it, it looks like 2 hemispheres of the brain. The walnut actually is very high in omega-3 fatty acids, which helps with the nervous system, but helps with brain health. Omega-3 fatty acids are very high fatty acids, and our brain is made up of 60% fat. That is the energy that we need to think properly, to speak clearly, to be able to do our daily functions. Walnut is excellent for brain health, for energy, and it also is a great signature of the brain. In the same manner, we can go over to other herbs that I have over here is the ginger. Ginger is a root plant. And if you look closely at ginger, depending on how the ginger plant looks like, the ginger root looks like, it can look like the stomach and the intestines. Ginger is excellent for digestion. It helps with gas, with bloating. It is a great anti-inflammatory herb that has been used in various cuisines to help with just inflammation, general inflammation in our body, especially gut inflammation. We use ginger to actually repair leaky gut. It is very antibacterial, antimicrobial, and can kill the bad bacteria or opportunistic bacteria, and will actually help healing the gut lining. So that is a doctrine of signature of ginger, is the stomach or the gut. Another fruit we have here is the avocado. This is a mini avocado that I have here, but if you look at the avocado and you break it into two, you cut it in half, it looks like the womb of a woman or the uterus. Avocado is very high in omega-3 fatty acids as well, and it actually helps with the lining of the uterus. This is an excellent food during pregnancy and great for fertility. Avocado is becoming more and more popular, and people are eating avocado with a lot of different things. Before, it was just located or used mostly in Mexican cuisine or Hispanic cuisine. Now, every culture loves avocado, and it's imported and exported to different parts of the country for it. It has great satiety, very high fiber, and a bunch of nutrients. And right here, we have the tomato. If you cut the tomato, you will see distinct chambers depending on what tomato you get. You see over here, it has two distinct chambers, which is just like the heart. Tomatoes are very high in lycopene, which actually helps balance out blood pressure, decreases bad cholesterol, and really helps with circulation. So this is the signature of a heart, and that's what tomato is excellent for.
A recent study revealed that 55% of Americans regularly take a prescription medication, and those are just the ones for chronic diseases. Our medical system has been set up in such a way to lay out a chemical drug for each symptom. However, this leads to many people ingesting multiple chemicals on a regular basis, and these chemicals can have dire and lasting side effects. However, natural medicines are the ones being touted as unsafe and dangerous. We're comparing taking a toxic chemical to eating a plant, and yet the industry seems to be telling us that the real danger is not in the toxins. Yet when people take these toxic chemicals for years, do they see their bodies begin to heal? Do they see their diseases reverse? No, this is rarely the case for many illnesses. Patients are told that they are impossible to reverse and that they will have to take prescription medications for years. Yet there are countless patients who are turning to naturopathic and functional medicine to find an alternative and are walking away no longer needing their medication, no longer suffering from chronic symptoms, no longer having a bleak and hopeless outlook.
Yeah, this is my understanding of pharmaceutical medicine, is that when they do these preclinical trials and then clinical trials, they'll find certain side effects will emerge. And so maybe they're looking for a drug for diabetes, and they find that one of the primary effects, right, direct effects, is that it makes them sleepy because it's technically maybe destroying their brain cells. Let's say it's neurotoxic. Then they'll repackage that side effect or direct effect as a therapeutic one, because they'll just say, well, let's make this into a sedative, or, you know, this is a sleep enhancer. And it's invariably shown to be true that most of the drugs the FDA approves as safe and effective get pulled off the market before the patent comes due. So, you know, within 17 years or something like that, half the drugs are already pulled off the market because they've caused so much damage and harm. So what's so interesting to me is that you look at the average medication that's been approved, right, on the market, and you have potentially about 70 side effects that you'll find in the actual insert of the drug. And there's just one of the effects, right, that they're packaging as beneficial. But natural medicines, invariably, when I do my indexing on a topic like echinacea, for example, and I have a pretty exhaustive data set on it, It's like there's 70 other beneficial effects that have been identified that this herb is capable of articulating. And, so it's really interesting. But the way they've inverted it in the media, which the media outside of election cycles is primarily funded by pharma. And we know now Google, for example, has signed deals with GlaxoSmithKline of almost $1 billion. So we know that pharma is now directly altering the information we're getting in the mainstream news, as well as obviously search engines like Google. And so people aren't really aware that natural medicines technically carry many side benefits, whereas pharmaceuticals, it's pretty clear. I mean, you listen to these drug ads and there's like a litany of serious side effects, and death is usually one of them. So it's sort of hidden in plain daylight. But natural medicine, and when we say natural medicine too, I'm referring more to the fact that these compounds that are growing outside this room, or the food that we eat, it could be a salad, contains information and not just sources of calorie and building blocks for the body machine. And that information is so important in regulating our health that they've identified that there are these little microparticles in foods called exosomes that carry what are known as microRNAs. Now it sounds kind of obscure, and it's like micro, they're so small, what could they do? Turns out that microRNAs within our own bodies regulate most of the protein coding genes. The ones that for decades are like, oh, this is the holy grail. If we find out the protein coding genes in the human genome, then we know what causes disease and how to cure it. At the end of the first draft of the project in 2005, they only found that 2% of the human DNA codes for these proteins. The rest is primarily RNAs. And the microRNAs within that subset are the ones that are like master regulators. So they control, if you will, or supervene upon the expression of the hard-coded protein coding genes. What does that mean? Well, it means that foods actually contain these gene regulatory nucleic acids, and that they technically, therefore, can help to articulate and express our well-being in a way that we never imagined. So in other words, when you're talking about food as medicine, or you're looking at herbs and their effects, pharmaceuticals are literally these singular chemicals, monochemicals that they altered, so there's no precedent in nature for them. They try to, pretend like they're natural compounds, but they alter them. So you have this extremely unique poison that no body on the planet's been exposed to before, and you're expecting that that's going to somehow translate into health? No. And we know that there's hundreds of thousands of people that die every year from correctly prescribed drugs, and that's based on very inaccurate reporting. There's far more they'll never be able to causally connect to taking a prescription drug, because Americans are sometimes on 10 of them. But a natural food, a salad, a pomegranate, vitamin C, it's never been known to harm a single person on the planet. In fact, we know that there are cases of miraculous recovery from serious disease simply by doing things like raw juicing, So I think it's because food contains information.
Let me break it down a bit more, because I know that many people like specifics. Here are 10 telltale signs that your body is literally begging you for a detox. 1, you have a health issue, whether it's a mood disorder like depression or anxiety, an autoimmune problem, joint pain, or any chronic disease fueled by unhealthy high levels of inflammation. 2, you've been following a health protocol for your issue and you're just not getting the recovery that you expected. Oftentimes this means you could have a hidden parasitic infection that's holding you back from your recovery. 3, you feel fatigued, stressed, overwhelmed, or lacking in energy. 4, you have skin breakouts, rashes, eczema, or a dull, blotchy complexion. Did you realize that your skin is actually an organ of detoxification and it can become overwhelmed and overworked? 5, you seem to pick up colds or viruses easily. 6, you're taking any kind of prescribed medication. 7, your digestion is problematic. You have gas, heartburn, constipation, or other GI issues. 8, you're carrying around more weight than you should. 9, you tend to make unhealthy food choices like eating a lot of sugar, or you need caffeine to get through the day. 10, you get that foggy brain feeling, memory lapses, or lack of mental clarity. So these things are real and they're a huge problem, and I've seen this study that was done on 4,000 multiple sclerosis patients that showed for testing on mercury levels, and only 5 of them didn't have mercury poisoning. High levels of off-the-chart readings of mercury. So these people with MS, mercury is one of their major problems. And so I think it's really relevant. It's obviously something, MS is affecting the brain, the bones, people getting wheelchairs. And I think, is it true that with these metals, the bones will actually, because you look at phytonutrients and phytochemicals, magnesium, zinc, they are absorbed by the bones, potassium, and they're great bone building foods. But these are also metals, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, and so they will go into bones.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we will feel that shoulder. It's like, okay, well, doing heavy metal chelation and stopping the heavy metal consumption that's also coming through pesticide-laden foods, right?
Absolutely.
Pesticides carry metals. Like there's these significant factors that make a huge difference. What do you think about humic and fulvic acid and their ability to help with chelation of metals? And you can explain chelation as well.
Yeah, a very basic carbon form of organic. It's a basic building block and structure of food and of plants, and it does a good job of chelating. So yes, that would be one of the chelating agents that I left out.
What is it? Where does it grow?
Well, it's carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Plants, it's a basic building block of plants. A lot of it is extracted from coal, because coal is compressed vegetation. And so you can extract it from coal, you can extract it from plants, you can actually make it, but you certainly want it to be organic if possible.
Fulvic acid and humic acid actually it's from within plants, but it's coming from rock shale, which is a derivative from coal, which is almost like charcoal, but charcoal is just burnt wood, which has a similar property, but it's not as potent and effective at this particular thing. But it is good for other things, activated charcoal. But there's a similar, because they're both carbons. I mean, I'm a layman here, and and then somehow it's drawing out toxins. If you could help me understand that whole piece.
Well, unless you understand organic chemistry, it's a little bit difficult. But you can't talk about fulvic acid in the state of California because they say it really doesn't exist. You have to talk about humic acid. But fulvic acid has carbon and oxygen, hydrogen. They have bonds. They aren't physically connected. They're connected electrically. And so these bonds, fulvic acid is able to think of water. So if you just have one H2O, that's vapor. But if you have a bunch of H2Os together, they bond together and stick together and get sticky, and that's called water. So fulvic acid does a very similar thing, and it can kind of surround heavy metals and complex electrically and bind with it so that then it can be removed from the body. Just like water, H2O is vapor, but when you put a bunch of them together, they bond together and it turns solid. So a similar thing happens with fulvic and humic acid because of the bonding structure and the formations that it's able to create. It can actually bind with heavy metals and take it out. So that process we call chelation, and that comes from a Greek word that means to claw or to grab hold of, to chelating. So what we want to do is grab hold of the heavy metals and with something that can carry them out of the body, either through the bowel or the kidneys. And so that process we call chelation, and specifically chelating heavy metals. I mean, you can chelate a lot of things. Some nutrition, like you may see magnesium chelate. That means they've taken a substance that binds with magnesium that's more easily absorbed by the bowel to carry the magnesium in. So you can chelate certain things to get them into the body, you can chelate certain things to get them out of the body. In this case, EDTA, DMPS, chlorophyll, fulvic acid are used to chelate metals to carry them out of the body.
Humic as well?
Humic acid as well.
stress that our bodies are under because of the toxic load. It's like a bucket that, fills up, one drop at a time, and it gets to a point where it overflows, and the body's toxicity and detoxification channels can't handle the detoxification pathways anymore. And so we know that, specific chemicals can cause DNA damage. We know that environmental chemicals, specifically those that are labeled, xenoestrogens or chemical estrogens, can drive and mimic excessive estrogens in the body. Metalloestrogens, for example, aluminum and mercury from amalgams in your teeth, those can mimic and drive excessive estrogen production in the body.
You got it. So, and then people getting like aluminum through certain injections, or thimerosal through a flu shot, which is mercury. Do these combine? These issues?
Antiperspirants, absolutely, because a woman's breast is full of lymph nodes into the armpit, and so if you're applying aluminum all day long, then guess what happens? You're absorbing that into your breast tissue, and they found that tumors actually contain higher levels of heavy metals and parabens and toxins that are not expelled properly.
Got it. And then, so we'll start to talk in a moment about getting rid of these toxins, because it doesn't matter how great your diet is if what you've chosen doesn't get rid of the habitual or the compacted or the continued abuse of the body because of exposures, which is unintentional abuse. But you have this abuse. We have to undo that damage. Certain diets will help us to detox. Certain foods like cruciferous vegetables and leafy greens, they do have a detoxifying effect. But these are aggressive types of toxic infections. Really, they are infections, right?
You know where we get a lot of this stuff?
Yeah.
We get it through some really nice products, but we also get it through our food. And so we got to make sure that we're doing both at the same time.
Fantastic. What a great takeaway. So, and then when we do both, we can maximize. Whereas if somebody is, a lot of people fall on one side of that fence. Somebody's like, oh, I don't want to take a supplement. The other person says, oh, I just want to take a supplement. I don't want to change my diet. Thankfully that both parties are at least halfway there. Right?
Yeah, totally.
I
always tell my patients, you can't go to McDonald's and think you're going to be okay, even though you're taking the best supplements in the world. You've got to make sure that you meet in the middle, because it's an all hands on deck approach.
But get this one will give you probably make you feel conflicted, this question. So if somebody is going to just like, whatever, John, I'm going to go to McDonald's, that's how I'm going to live. Should I take the supplement or not?
Yeah, you should, because you know what? It's going to do something, but it's not going to give you the net gain that you could probably get. Think of your body as a bank account. If we're putting in $200 every single day, that's pretty good, right? But what happens if we're withdrawing $1,000 every single day? Well, we have a net loss, but at least you're mitigating that loss by taking some very high quality supplements.
The first priority is to remove the toxins. Over time, no matter how healthy your lifestyle is, toxic chemicals and heavy metals will accumulate in your organs and tissues. Heavy metals include such things such as mercury from fish and dental fillings, lead from pipes and paint, cadmium in furniture and household products, and many others. Additionally, we're all exposed to herbicides, pesticides, air pollution, food additives, and chemicals in thousands of products that we use. It's impossible to completely avoid these exposures, which can lead to many non-specific symptoms: brain fog, headaches, fatigue, mood changes, and others. Fortunately, you can help reduce your body's toxic overload by using nutrients that help remove these accumulated toxins and heavy metals. Here are some key nutrients that detox experts recommend. Silymarin. This powerful herb, which is actually the milk thistle plant, helps detoxify the liver. It's also an antioxidant, so it helps scavenge free radicals that damage your cells and DNA. Humic and fulvic acid. Due to decades of soil nutrient depletion, we don't get the minerals that we need today. These bioactive compounds are deep earth or ancient mineral substances that help chelate or bond with toxins and heavy metals to remove them from the body. They also work as powerful free radical scavengers. Plus, they support immune health. Uva ursi leaf. Also known as bearberry, this plant nutrient has been used traditionally to support liver and kidney health. Cordyceps mushroom. This medicinal mushroom has been used for centuries for its anti-aging and general health promotion benefits. When it comes to detox, cordyceps promotes the excretion of toxins via the kidneys. It also offers support for immune health. Rhodiola rosea. This is an adaptogenic herb used in traditional healing to detoxify the body, increase energy, and offer antioxidant protection. If you aren't familiar with adaptogens, they are unique healing plants that help you respond to any type of stressor by bringing the body back to balance.
Gentian is very antimicrobial because of the bitterness. It is great for any kind of candida, any kind of salmonella typhi, which causes typhoid fever, leptospira, which is a lung infection, leptospirosis. So it can also be used for sinus infections and for gut infections and for people who are loaded with a lot of fungus in their body or have dysbiosis because they have opportunistic microorganisms in their body that cause infection. Gentian kills all of that. Gentian is great for any kind of parasites that we have ingested in our body that can cause any kind of diarrhea or vomiting or a stomach upset. Gentian is a good herb in helping cleanse all of those things. So gentian is a great digestive herb, especially being a liver tonic and antiparasitic.
If your vitamin D levels are optimal, then your risk of breast cancer is decreased by 83%.
Got it. And then do you mean like D3?
Yes, D3 and K2 together.
So
yeah.
D3 and K2 together, taken daily?
Yes, yeah.
You've seen it to be a game changer?
Oh, for sure. You know, a lot of women come to us and their levels are in the teens. Well, we like to get them between 80 and 100. That's really the therapeutic dose area.
Right.
Yeah.
80, getting it to 80 to 100. But that's observed through blood analysis.
Correct.
To see whether it's high enough.
Right.
Got it. And so, but what dosage should someone take of D3, K2 a day?
It depends. Depends where they are in their blood.
It. But like, let's just say if somebody was averagely bad.
Well, if they're in their teens, then you would want to start them off with 20 to 30 a day.
20 to 30
1,000 units per day, IUs per day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 to 30,000 IUs per day.
Right, and you would do that for 3-4 weeks, and then test the blood, see where you are, and then gradually increase.
Great. And so then, yeah, that's great. So people can then just implement, see how they go. And then people like feeling better is obviously something like there are some people that aren't just going to do the test. So I've got to try and give them some clue, but give the disclaimer that testing is going to give you more accuracy.
Oh.
But nevertheless, if someone takes it, feels better, that's a good start in the right direction.
Well, that's true, but you may be taking too much.
Yeah,
right. You don't want to become vitamin D toxic because then you're affecting your calcium metabolism, right?
And why combine the K2 with the D3?
Because if you just take D3, then you're pulling calcium out of the bone and into the soft tissue, and so the K2 helps to bring that balance back, so the calcium stays where it needs to stay.
In fact, this is why I love it so much. It's actually the #1 prescription in my practice. And what I found is that no matter what the condition, what the problem, but clearly in natural medicine, many women are having health challenges, and many women suffer from things like constipation, irritable bowel syndrome. Everything within the digestive tract leads to problems in their hormones, in their mental state, everything. So Castor Oil Packs is my very first prescription with all my patients because it is very inexpensive and it can actually help to support and make all the things that you're doing work that much better, which is classic, right?
I love that. So it's so cheap to do it. It's safe. It's non-invasive. Mm-hmm. And it's effective.
Yes.
It's a detoxification strategy, correct?
Excellent. Yeah. And actually does a lot more than just detoxification. It actually supports the 5 pillars of feeling great in your body, which includes, improvement of digestion, absorption, elimination. It improves your antioxidant status, which increases glutathione, things like nitric oxide, your omega-6, omega-9, your fatty acid profile. It also helps to balance inflammation in the body, which is one of the areas in how it works with detoxification and cleansing. And it also reduces stress, which naturally improves your detoxification and cleansing. And it supports the health of your microbiome and the balance of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So why don't you show me how to do this?
Absolutely. So a castor oil pack, these packs have been in existence since, the beginning of time. The first usage of castor oil dates back to 4000 BC. So it truly is something that's been around for a long time. The castor oil pack in specific has been used in traditional Chinese medicine cultures, but also in Ayurvedic medicine cultures. So a real long history of practice. And it was popularized in early 1900s in North America by the famed psychic healer known as Edgar Cayce. So the pack is simple to do. All that you need and require is an organic cotton flannel. The cotton flannel must be soft to the touch because that's going to have a neurological effect on the skin. And that neurological effect on the skin, stimulating receptors on the skin, is actually going to place your body into the relaxed state, what's known as the parasympathetic state. So many of us, so many women, men, everyone in this world is constantly in the stressed sympathetic state. And the problem with that is that you don't heal, you don't cleanse, you don't feel well in the stressed state. But castor oil pack is like an escape button on your computer that basically shifts you when you place the pack on your body using the soft organic material, which will shift you into the relaxed state, all via your relaxed parasympathetic nervous system. It's very cool. The body's amazing.
I love that.
Yeah. So all you do is take this organic soft cloth, and you always want it with castor oil, you want things to be organic, either organic oil, organic cotton cloth. Your castor oil needs to be in a glass bottle because castor oil is the ultimate carrier oil. If people are using essential oils, castor oil is great to bring those into the body, and it outperforms things like jojoba oil or coconut oil or any of the other oils. So simply use 2 tablespoons on this castor oil pack. If you're using a big, large cotton flannel, you may need to oversaturate it, but typically I use a little bit less. I use about 2 tablespoons, and then you simply blot the pack and place it on your body, on your liver, which is actually underneath your right rib cage.
Okay.
And you ideally will wear it for a minimum of an hour, or even better, overnight. Overnight, you'll get all the benefit of improving your sleep, again, calming your nervous system, working with the body's circadian rhythm to really balance out how the body's cleaning and how it is effectively regulating the immune system as well.
If someone was going to DIY.
So with the castor oil pack, if you want to do it at home, one way to do it would be to take like cotton flannel, make sure it's soft to the touch, make sure it's organic, then apply castor oil topically to it, place it on the body. You then need to wrap something around because castor oil can get and leak through things and damage things, so be careful about that. And then apply a towel around your body, so then that way at least you don't get castor oil in different places. And then you apply a hot pack onto your body. And we're looking not for you to be using a hot pack with electricity, but ideally like a hot water bottle. Yeah, so castor oil packs are pretty foundational. In my clinical practice, we actually did a 1 month trial with patients and patient cases to see how they were responding and how they were working. And what we saw was that patients who did the castor oil packs during a 1 month cleanse actually improved more significantly than those that didn't. So it was really valuable information. I presented at the Environmental Health Symposium last year, and it was incredible to see that on conventional labs, there was actually changes with just doing a castor oil pack.
Really?
Yeah, really phenomenal. Liver enzymes improving, cholesterol reduction, improvement in iron, B12, things that are deficient in many women that happen because their absorption's a problem or because they may have a load of bacteria or parasites that may be in their body, which I don't know if you know this, but when people have a load of parasites and a load of bacteria or candida, the body actually sequesters iron. So women often will have low levels of iron in these cases.
Yeah, wow.
Women end up with low iron because of buildup of bacteria such as yeast, parasites, and non-healthy bacteria that actually will thrive in high iron states. It's actually a mechanism of action that the body does to sequester iron because it doesn't want to feed an unhealthy gut microbiome. Yeah, iron will feed candida, yeast will feed parasites.
Got it.
So women always, if you look at their labs, if they have a candida overgrowth or a parasitical overgrowth or even a bad microbiome, that's why there's such an epidemic, in my opinion, of low iron.
Yeah.
Right. And then it feeds into so many different problems like mood disorders, right? It's a real interesting thing that occurs.
So you can't then just get an iron supplement because you just keep feeding it, right?
Absolutely.
You've got to cleanse.
You've got to cleanse, and you have to deal with the iron, the bacterial, the candidal overgrowth or the parasitical overgrowth.
So this is helping to combat the bacteria issue.
Yes, castor oil is incredibly well known for its helping to balance microbiome. And in fact, the research has been shown in periodontal medicine where they've compared it to conventional periodontal treatments to help with balancing up and breaking down biofilm in the mouth. Yeah.
And you did lab work on your patients.
Yeah.
to show the people that did and didn't do this?
Yeah, so we took 10 people who did castor oil packs and 10 people who didn't. They all did a 1 month long cleanse where they did colon hydrotherapy, diet, as well as supplementation. And it's our month-long cleanse that we call the dysbiotic diet. The big takeaway was that the laboratory values improved over the month, and those with taking castor oil packs had a better improvement. They found that iron would improve better, B12 levels would improve better. So signs of absorption, signs of microbiome dysbiosis, urea, uric acid. We use those as clinical markers for dysbiosis in clinic. Other things like cholesterol levels all improved. Low density lipoprotein would decrease and high density lipoprotein would increase. So just as CBC values would improve. Eosinophils, those that are markers for parasites again would decrease. White blood cells would increase, the good kind. Neutrophils would decrease. So just a really incredible thing to see when you're actually doing these castor oil packs with a cleanse, that your cleanse will work that much better. So we concluded from the study that, and we've seen it in clinical practice for years, and other practitioners know this as well too, because if you do talk with anyone who does castor oil packs, they always say that whatever you're doing is going to work better, because castor oil packs set the foundation. You'll digest your food better, you'll absorb your nutrients and supplementation better, you will absorb them all better, you will eliminate better, which means you'll go to the bathroom, so you'll prevent recirculation of toxins and hormones and bad cholesterols that all need to leave the body via the stools. You will improve your antioxidant profile because of the nature of castor oil. You will regulate your inflammation, hence helping heal the body. You will also reduce tension and stress on the system and microbiome balance. It's incredible. Yeah.
Who's it for? Who's it not for?
Perfect. So really, it's easier to say who is not for. Castor oil packs should never be used for those who are pregnant. The eclectic uses of castor oil, midwives use castor oil in order to help with bowel movement. Oh, sorry, not bowel movements, but actually inducing labor. And that can cause bowel movements while inducing labor. So we don't ever recommend castor oil packs for those that are pregnant, but otherwise castor oil packs can be safely used.
Great for everyone.
Yeah.
Men, women?
Men, women.
Children?
Children as well too. Just the only difference with children is that the amount of castor oil is just a little bit less.
Yeah.
And
maybe half?
Yeah, half. It'd be from 1 tablespoon. Again, castor oil, as long as it's not taken internally, as long as it's done as a topical pack, it'll work beneficial for them. So typically you do about a tablespoon for children, but you could, if you needed to, if the child has a long chronic constipation, which is very common, you could do 1 to 2 tablespoons.
Amazing. And just before we finish, if you could show me maybe how you'd put this on me, maybe I'll come around that side.
Sure. Yeah, so the castor oil pack would be basically placed on the liver like this, right? And ideally you try to aim for the back because you want to try to get as much of the liver. The liver is about the size of a football. So we always want to make sure that the liver can get covered. And this here is also going to target the stomach, the small intestine. You have the large intestine here and the pancreas as well, and the gallbladder. So you really get a full permeation of your internal abdominal organs. And then you simply tie it up.
This one here I tie up.
Yep.
So you could DIY, make something like this at home, or find something like this that traps it in.
Exactly, keeps the oil separated.
Polyester on the outside.
It's an organic polyester that actually is made with free chemicals. It's the same type of material that is used with organic baby diapers that are reusable.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then on the inside's cotton.
Organic cotton flannel. You always, with castor oil, you always want to make sure that everything is organic. Very important because castor oil moves and is a carrier oil, so it can bring toxins in.
Ideally overnight.
Ideally overnight.
Not hard?
Not hard at all. Easy. Takes about 2 minutes. So we recommend it in my clinical practice nightly to all of our patients.
Yeah.
The other option.
Every night? For how long?
For as long as you live.
Really?
It's one of those treatments. In fact,
do you do that?
Every night. I carry it with me. I travel it with me. Absolutely.
And you feel better?
I always feel better. You wake up better in the morning. You go to the bathroom better in the morning. Everything feels flatter. There's less inflammation in your body. You're more resilient.
Is it good for losing weight?
Absolutely, of course, because it's helping you to balance what is unbalanced in your body.
Good to have a trim, tell me?
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, there's actual research that when you apply material on your skin for a period of time, soft material, you actually stimulate oxytocin in the body, and the stimulation of oxytocin actually helps with reduction of appetite as well.
Awesome.
There you go. So there's some really cool things with castor oil packs.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Jonathan.
The number one goal for me is the idea of hope. How do we shift the way that people think in terms of the healthcare and what is possible? And if we think that we've got the power to make those changes inside of our body, that with the right tools in our hands, that we can elicit beautiful health and resilience, then to me, that is phenomenal. And that's my biggest message. That's why I love oils, because they open the door for what's possible. When people see a response in less than 60 seconds and they go from one state to the next, that changes everything. All of a sudden, they believe that natural medicine actually has a place in their lives, and maybe it should be the number one place in their life.
In other words, what I'm saying right now is that most of the illnesses that plague Americans are not only preventable, but they're able to be reversed.
I mean, as far as I understand, there's never been a time in history that it's been more important that people are able to have access to the type of information that you are putting out there. Because the internet today is completely censored. Like, we had a major Google algorithm change in June that just decimated any reference organically to natural health. It's gone. So without that, and with social media explicitly banning this kind of information, which should indicate to your listeners and your audience why it's so important, because it challenges the entire power structure, the status quo. It challenges pharma, it challenges, political agendas. This is how you get it. It's through the ability to get content through the internet for free, through individuals like yourself who have spent their whole life dedicating themselves to get the truth out about this topic. So for me, your work is more indispensable than it has ever been, and that I feel that the best way that we can, support, freedom of information and informed consent is through, participating and, sharing this content as far and as wide as possible.
Yeah, I think it gives them hope, and it gives them, hope is like the biggest thing, right? As soon as they can see like, oh, okay, so many people have healed their life or transformed their life, then they think they can do it also. So for sure, it will definitely change people's lives once that they know what's possible and that healing is possible for them. And once they find out all the tools that they can use, they can start to pull in which tools that they want for their toolbox, right? And apply them and start to change their lives.
First of all, we all have to be advocates of our own health. So we all have to take responsibility. It's not for anybody to fix anybody else. We have to be the ones that are driving that desire to get well. Now, if it was so easy to get well, why isn't everybody doing it? It's hard. It's hard to make change. So we have to be motivated. And the patients that do the best are literally the ones that are saying, you know what? We'll call it pain. That pain right now, I don't want to have anymore. I want to be pain-free. So that is motivating. Being pain-free is way more motivating than cutting the sugar out of their diet or cutting out their favorite, junk food, whatever it may be, or, taking a supplement, which is sometimes tedious for some people, especially if you have to do a few things. So you've got to be motivated and you've got to harness what drives you. And if you've got nothing that you're trying to improve in life, then it's going to be very hard for you to succeed. But if there's never a perfect time to do this. I'll tell you that right now. There's always going to be a birthday and a holiday, and there's always going to be some reasons that we could very easily line up. We all have self-limiting beliefs, but we need to make sure that we are just trying to do this for a bigger purpose, whether it's for us, or it's for our family, or for just, altruistically trying to contribute to society. Whatever that is, you've got to dive deep, harness that, and go. And then work with somebody who's going to help coach you if you need that guidance. But honestly, your work is so powerful because you help so many people just by giving them tons of tools that they're going to learn with their doctors anyways. You should be very grateful for what you learned in Jonathan's documentary. He's got all these experts here that are giving you literally massive pearls of health wisdom. And share this with your friends, share it with your family. Take action on these items right now for yourself. And honestly, start now. Today is the day for your forever. Do it right now.
After hearing this amazing information and learning what it means to use natural medicines to heal, I hope your mind and heart has awoken to the possibility that these methods may actually be what your body really needs. In this series, we'll continue to go through more and more information on diseases that you may have never realized were reversible. Because when our body is brought to its ultimate state of health, the healing will take place naturally. Our bodies are made to heal themselves if we support them and make sure our organs are working properly and we can cleanse our bodies and reduce inflammation. Then we will get the opportunity to experience true healing. Too often we feel that there's no true way to heal, that we can only mask the symptoms and be on lifetime medications. But chronic illness doesn't have to remain chronic. You don't have to keep suffering. You can reach out and take these tools and methods into your hands and begin to transform your life. We want to continue with you through this journey as we bring you life-altering information in the rest of this series. Make sure you don't miss out. Come with us on this journey of a lifetime over the next several days. You'll see your life transform in ways you would have never imagined. I can't wait to see you in the next episode. I'm Jonathan Otto, and this is Natural Medicine Secrets. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode and quickly put everything that you've learned today to good use. Or even share this with others who need this vital information about natural medicines. Remember, right now you can save up to 93% for instant on-demand access to our silver gold packages.
But this massive discount won't last forever. This offer is only available during this premiere screening. So act now to take advantage of the dozens of hours of information on video, audio, and in PDF format that accompany each package. Plus, you get lifetime access and over $2,778 in free bonuses.
You'll also get books, DVDs sent out to you in the mail, so you can read along and learn from all these amazing resources at your own pace, at your fingertips. With the information gathered directly from 57 of the world's best doctors, scientists, and researchers, all having expertise in both traditional medicine and alternative medicine, Natural Medicine Secrets is one of the most complete resources for anyone looking to heal their body with natural medicine instead of drugs. To see for yourself all that you'll receive in our silver gold packages, as well as the huge 93% discount available just for a limited time, click the link below now. See you in the next episode, and thanks so much for joining us.